So you're saying maybe we don't get all of our social media, all of our financial advice from social media, and maybe we go to guys like you, Pete, that can actually clarify specific situations. Because a lot of these videos might show a brief glimpse of how something works.
Yes.
But there's also that process also comes with other headaches that you're not seeing.
Yeah, well, think about it this way. So someone tells you you can lower your estate by giving your house away. And so you give your house away, and sometimes they'll talk about creating a trust. And I don't think, but maybe we want to put a pin in that for a future conversation, because we're kind of splitting, we start talking about income tax and estate tax. What tax are we talking about here? Oh, well, let's talk a little bit about ownership and control, because that's really what estate planning is first and foremost. And thus social media likes to talk about how you're going to be taxed. And I think it's really important first to determine who's in control when, and is it the right person. And so when it comes to a house or an asset that you give away, if you technically don't own it any longer, now they're in control. And so if you give away your house, for example, but kills, maybe still live in that without proper protection and documentation of that, that house could get sold, out from under you. You could give it to your daughter who passes away and has a will that leaves it to her husband, and he gets remarried. And the next thing you know, he and his new wife want to live in this house that wasn't really supposed to be for anybody until the person, till mom owned it, until she passed away. I mean, that's just a real simple kind of complication. But that's really what I think you want to, think about is, what are you going to need during your lifespan? And that's what I fear about the social media, is it talks to you how to solve a problem. And that's not really your big problem. Your big problem is, how are you going to afford to live in that house? What are you going to do if you go into, a continuous care retirement community and you are going to need to sell that house to, as capital to move into that property? Those things you're still going to want in your estate. So we really want to kind of look at it as all this opportunity, these different situations that are likely to happen over a lifespan.
Now, that's obviously some very technical stuff. And if anybody's watching this right now, after watching those other videos, they're going to be like, okay, this guy knows his stuff. He's clarifying a lot of these issues. That's obviously very valuable.
Yeah. Don't watch it on the social media. If you get anything out of the social media, you watch a guy because he knows what he's talking about. What does my situation look like, and how does that really affect me? I can't tell you how many people come into the office and share a story about the social media. I love that. Now I'm going to keep saying that all day long. But, people come in and they have a story, and this is something I saw and I'm worried about it. And then you start to look at their specific situation and, oh, that isn't something I need to worry about. But more likely it's, if you do that, then this is the new problem you've created. And we're in the situation that we're in because that's not a problem that we want to have. And so that's what I find is the social media solves a problem that they share with you that you may have, but it just creates a problem in something that you're already avoiding. And sometimes it's better to understand what you're doing and why it's good to stick with what you're doing than it is to just jump through all sorts of hoops to satisfy the social media talking heads. And it doesn't mean that part of it doesn't apply to you, but everyone has a very, subtle nuance, and everybody talks to their friend. And I'll have conversations and they'll say, well, somebody told me to watch out for this, that, or the other thing. And they're warning them of that without knowing anything about the friend that they're talking to. And I, of course, I know their situation. And that's really, I think, where it's different is they don't, they might be better capitalized than the person they're talking to. And they're warning them of a problem that really isn't something that they need to be worried about. Or, flip it around the other way. Somebody might be warning them about an inheritance tax. It really isn't a big issue for them. But by trying to address it, they're going to complicate their life even further. So it's really important to talk through what's going to happen now, what's likely going to happen over the balance of your life, and then what's it going to look like when you leave those assets to the next generation. And you watch a social media video and it'll solve any one of those problems, but it won't address how it's going to complicate everything else. And that's why you need to sit down and have a conversation with someone who can kind of see that from beginning to end and beyond. As you can see, things can get really complicated, and it takes a conversation to find out what's best for your personal situation. We're happy to start a conversation with you. Find us at gootfinancial.com and go to Contact Us and we're happy to set up a 30-minute call just to learn about your situation and start to answer some of your big questions.